Chair recognizes the member from Litchfield, Representative Bohm, to speak in favor of the override. Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is local control, period. Doesn't your school board and the school district taxpayers have any say as to the education of their children? If your school district does not have a public school or a public school for certain grades, don't you think you have the right to tuition your students to what is best for them? If your school district and your taxpayers vote that some or all the students should go to a private school, then what is the problem? And don't you think that your local tax dollars should go where you want? The DOE and governor state that if you send your students to a private school, there's no way that it can be determined if the students are getting an adequate education. I find that comical, because we all know that there are public schools in this state that are not providing an adequate education. And isn't the local school district responsibility to make sure their students are getting a good education? And let's not forget the accountability that will exist if this private school is not giving a good education. No such accountability exists for public schools. And finally, I am dismayed and disgusted that the New Hampshire School Board Association is coming out against local school boards. Isn't that who they are supposed to represent? But they fall in line with so please vote green to override the veto and give back local control. Thank you.
Does the member yield to questions?
Yes.
Representative Cordella, you may inquire.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Representative, for taking my question. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The governor in her veto message raised the issue of constitutionality, and I think it's referred to by you as well. Isn't it true that in the Supreme Court decision of 1955 related to a religious affiliated nursing program, that they said it was intended to forbid only support of a particular sector denomination by the state, not intended that members of a denomination should be deprived of public benefits, and it was only a problem constitutionally if all denominations were prohibited from taking public funds. So isn't the argument that it's not constitutional corrected by the 1955 decision?
Yes, and it's also interesting that the federal government has no problem giving aid to religious private schools. The Blaine Amendment in other states has been found unconstitutional. We're going on in our state.
A further question. Representative Graham, you may inquire.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for taking my question. Aren't the parents of these students taxpayers as well?
Yes.
I mean, shouldn't they be allowed to go to school?
That's my point. It's the taxpayers have to vote on the budget for the local school district submits to them, which are sending their students, their tax-paying students, parents, taxpayers, to a school that their school board approves of, which may be a private school.
Question before the House is notwithstanding the governor's veto, shall House Bill 1637 become law? This will be a roll call vote. Members will take their seats. House come to order. Question before the House is notwithstanding the governor's veto. Shall House Bill 1637 become law? The chair recognizes... I don't have anybody down. You'd like to do a parliamentary inquiry? Chair recognizes Representative Shurtleff for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I know that this bill applies to any school district that doesn't have public schools for every grade level, and Mr. Speaker, if I know that in its current form, this bill would allow parents in such school districts to use public taxpayers' money to send their children to any private school, including those of religious intent. And Mr. Speaker, if I know that House Bill 1637 provides no accountability in a clear violation of New Hampshire's Constitution, which we have taken an oath to uphold, would I now sustain the governor's veto of this legislation by pressing the red button? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question before the House is notwithstanding the governor's veto. Shall House Bill 1637 become law? If you are in favor, you'll press the green button. If you're opposed, you'll press the red button. Chair recognizes Representative Ladd for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. If I know it's 179 years ago that Horace Mann wrote his speech, his litany, and if I know now that things have changed in the last 179 years, where parents are very, very involved, as they were then, in the education of their students, and if I further know that the local school board has the best capability in making a decision as to where their students are placed, not the organizations such as we heard NEA, the school administrators, the School Boards Association, and the machine in Concord. If I know that the choice should be made at the local level, would I now vote green to override the veto? Thank you.
Question before the House is notwithstanding the governor's veto. Shall House Bill 1637 become law? If you are in favor, you'll press the green button. If you're opposed, you'll press the red button. This is a roll call vote. Voting stations will be open for 30 seconds. If all members voted who were present when the question was put, the House will attend to the state of the vote. There having been 147 votes in the affirmative, 105 in the negative, motion fails. The override fails.